time on my social media, or whether in person or at work, I get the question, where's my favorite city to visit? And I always get tripped up with this question because there's so many reasons why I like a particular city and I really can't narrow it down, and I always feel like I give you a fake answer. But I've never really took the time until a few days ago to determine what is my favorite city to visit. So I'm going to give you my 5 top favorite cities, so stay tuned. It's so hard to pick my favorite city, but I've narrowed it down to my top 5 in no particular order. So let's get into this. So my first favorite city on the list is Italy. I know Italy is a country, but you cannot visit Italy without visiting several cities in Italy. And one of my favorites is on the Italian Riviera. It's a little 5-village area called the Cinque Terre. Also known for their grapevines growing on the hill, they have some of the finest wines there is to offer in the world. And one of the best sunsets I've ever seen in all my travels was in Vernazza, one of the villages in the Cinque Terre. It has some of the freshest seafood that I've ever tasted. The red snapper there is divine. It's a village where it looks like time has stopped. Most things are done the old-fashioned way. There's mountains throughout the region where you can hike from each village. Backstory is, my first time there, I was doing one of the hikes from one end to the other end, and literally they're like on the side of the crypt, and I just realized I was afraid of heights, people. Yes, me as a flight attendant is afraid of heights, known fact. But I was determined to do this hike, and it was just passing the little village of towns of people and just saying hello to you, stopping at a little cafe and having some of their local wine and seafood. It's just breathtaking views from the whole Italian Riviera. So if you're ever in Italy, that is definitely a must place to stop. Also, my favorite place in Italy is Venice. Venice, Italy. It's one of those towns where people either love it or hate it, or people say you can spend one day and you've seen all of Venice. The very first time I went to Venice, I went all by myself. I was like a 19-year-old kid. I had heard about Italy and the canals, and there's no automobiles there. You can walk through the little streets. I wanted to find my lover there. I was gonna go to Italy and find an Italian man and maybe live in Italy, I think. I don't know what I was thinking, because everybody in Italy is with somebody. It is one of the most romantic cities that you can find in Europe. Everyone's walking, kissing, holding hands, public affection. It was kind of sad at first, but I said, you know what? If I ever come back to Venice, I am going to bring the man of my dreams. The man of my dreams is Kelly, and yes, we did. We have been back a couple of times, and we can't get enough of Venice. There's more than just the canals. There's the carnival they have there, and the masquerade. You can go to the outer islands to Murano and get some of the most rarest glass fixtures, statues, and sculptures only that can be found in Murano, as well as Murano, where it has some of the most beautiful lace that you can find in the world. So definitely, if you do go to Venice, make sure you go to the outer islands to Murano and Murano. And for you Instagram people, there are very good backdrops with the colors of the homes and pastels. It's just one of those, I don't know, you feel kind of just locally involved. The only way you can get around Venice is by either walking or water taxi or the water bus. Every street is actually a river or a canal, and they have the Grand Canal where you can take the gondolas throughout the canals of Venice. I do recommend, if you do take the gondola, they are expensive, probably the most expensive boat ride I've ever taken, but I recommend to take 2 rides if you can afford it. One time during the daytime, and especially during right at sunset at nighttime. And if you can't afford both, go right before sunset so you get a little bit of the daylight, and then into the night. It's just breathtaking. And make sure that you get your own gondola. You can spend a little bit less if you get a group of people or other couples go with you, but to be more romantic, I recommend to go by yourself. Interview the gondola guy. Make sure that if he's going to sing to you, you might have to pay a little bit of extra, but it does enhance the canal ride. Shops galore, everything from the high-end shops to the mom and pop place. It's just shopping all around. One of the things I love is just getting lost in the alleyways and finding a nice restaurant to have a nice romantic dinner. And one of the unique things about Venice, landing in the airport, yes, they do have an airport too. The way you get out of the airport is through a water taxi. You actually take a boat out of the airport, something very unique, And the hotel that we were staying, the water taxi took us right to our hotel lobby. We got out of there and checked in. I was just like, wow, this next level travel right here. So the next city that is my favorite place to visit is Paris, France. What's not to like about the City of Lights? Whether I'm going there on my layover or just going there for a vacation time, it's one of those cities that does not disappoint. Paris has everything. Go to a corner street cafe and have a croissant, or even just going to the local bread store and getting a baguette and just eating that with a little bit of butter and just having crepes. If you're ever on a budget, Paris is one of the places that you can either eat cheap or you can go to one of a 5-star restaurant, have escargot. Yes, snails. I did try it, didn't like it. My husband loves it, but Paris food, it's known for food. If you're a foodie person, Paris is definitely a place you would want to go and visit. I also grew up that one day, if I didn't find my man in Italy or Venice, I would find my love in Paris. It's one of those romantic cities that you can just fall in love, not with just a man, but just the city itself. And although I did not fall in love with Kelly in Paris, I proposed to Kelly in Paris underneath the Eiffel Tower at nighttime. He said yes. It's just ooze out romanticy. No matter what you do, the language, the culture. A lot of people say they're rude and they're arrogant and all that, but I think the French are just proud of their country. They love it if you can speak any kind of French. So before you go, you can just brush up on a little tourism French. They would love you to death. We try to go at least twice a year outside of France. We do have friends and family. Kelly has a godson that lives in Lyon, so we're always in France every year. And it's just around springtime when we go, and it just starts off our summer vacation. I can't say enough about Paris, but we're gonna move on to my next favorite city to visit, and that is Rio de Janeiro. Yes, sirree, South America. Although I've only been 2 times to Rio and probably only 2 times to South America, Rio did not disappoint. It's one of those cities that you can get your hot boy or your hot girl summer on. Everybody is beautiful. They have the most beautiful beaches in the world. One of my favorite beaches is Ipanema Beach. It's one of those beaches you can go and just lay out and have the Cabana boys bring you food and drink all day. Eye candy watch of the beautiful men and women. Oh, it's just heaven on earth. And after soaking up the sun all day, you can go just right behind the beach. They have the downtown area where they have like a Brazilian steakhouse. You can have all kinds of meat. Like if you've ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse, you know what I'm talking about. And if you have ever been in one in Brazil, I think I still got some meat left in my feelings. And Rio is also one of those cities that never sleep. The nightlife is just through the roof. There is just samba dancing all around. Everybody feels sexy. Sex is not a dirty word. You can have a lot of fun in Rio. And I'm just gonna leave it at that and move on to the next city. Speaking of the city that never sleeps, the next city, one of my favorite cities to visit, is actually in the United States. And it is, drumroll, New York City. Yes, sirree. It is the city that never sleeps. And I don't think I've ever slept in New York because it's always something to do in New York City. Particularly in Manhattan, these streets will make you feel brand new. Yes, that's Alicia Keys. That's where I stole that from. But every time I go to New York, I just feel fresh, new, and vibrant, and just I want to live my best life. And I live in California, I live in San Francisco, and one of my dreams is to be bi-coastal, to have a little condo in the Upper East Side of New York, and have a little condo here in downtown San Francisco. New York City is probably one of the most visited cities I've gone in my 30-year career. It's one of those cities I can catch a red-eye Friday night, get there Saturday morning, watch Broadway shows in the afternoon, catch a Broadway show in the evening, go out and hang out at the favorite nightclub, want to go to one of our favorite restaurants, visit some of our friends, and just paint the town all night long. There's so many districts in New York City. You can leave the island and actually go to like Long Island. You can go to Brooklyn, you can go to Queens, the Bronx, and one of my favorite is Harlem. That is one of the places that if you want some African-American culture, you want some good soul food, head on over to the Harlem area and just get off the island of Manhattan. Most people who come to New York, they think of Manhattan and not some of the other boroughs of New York City. There's so much more than just Broadway in New York City. There's the world famous Central Park where you can just get lost in the park for hours on a good day. And probably they have the most diverse city around the United States. You can find people from the Caribbean, you can find people from South or Central America, from all over the world, and all that flavor just mixed into this tiny little island called Manhattan. Most people, when they think of New York, they think of New York City, but New York State is also one of my favorite places to visit because my husband, Kelly, is from upstate New York. And when I say upstate, I mean upstate. Adirondack Parks on the border of Canada in a little place called Cranberry Lake, New York. Most people know Lake Placid. My husband grew up about maybe an hour or two from Lake Placid, New York. And it's someplace I probably would never have visited if I hadn't known Kelly, because it's one of those best kept secrets. It's about an 8-hour drive from New York City, or you can catch a flight into Syracuse or Albany, New York. And if you're looking for nature, if you're looking for adventure and lakes and camping, upstate New York is the place to be. Some of the world's best campsites are up in upstate New York. And the best time to go to upstate New York is during the fall, where you can do leaf peeping and seeing the leaves change colors and smelling the autumn leaves and just feeling just outdoorsy. Kelly still has family there, so we try to go to New York at least 2 or 3 times a year as well, and especially up to upstate New York. Usually tag along Manhattan. Yeah, it's one of those places if you're looking to get away, I turn off my cell phone, I turn off my social media, and I just relax. All right, moving on to the next city, one of my favorite cities to visit of all time, I think, and I'm a little biased for this city. It's also in the United States. I just so happen to be living, born, and raised from this particular city, and it's San Francisco, city by the bay. If you come to San Francisco, you will truly leave your heart in San Francisco. San Francisco is situated on a hill with some of the most breathtaking views of the Golden Gate Bridge and Alcatraz. San Francisco kind of gives you a European vibe by having little districts that represent the European cities, the Latino community. If you're looking for a good taco and Mexican food, they have the Mission District. We also have Little Italy. We have one of the largest Chinatowns in the world. And we have chefs from all over the world. If you can't travel, you can come to San Francisco and get food from all around the world. And you can't leave San Francisco without riding the cable cars. Rice-a-roni, a San Francisco treat. How many of you guys remember that commercial about the cable cars? That's how old I am. But yeah, it's a beautiful city. Yes, I am biased because I am from San Francisco. I lived here my whole life. I've lived nowhere else but San Francisco. It's one of those cities that is just romantic. It has it all. It has everything. Now, the best time to visit San Francisco is in the fall, because the coldest time of the year in San Francisco is the summertime, which kind of deceives people. They're thinking, oh, it's summer. They bring in their summer outfits, and they are freezing because we have something called fog. San Francisco is surrounded by the bay, and during the summer months, the fog rolls in and blankets the whole city and brings the temperature down to about 20 degrees than the other cities surrounding. So San Francisco stays year-round 65 degrees. Kind of heats up when the fog starts leaving in around late September and gets into the 80s or 90s. And it's one of the most beautiful times to visit San Francisco. You're also about 2 hours away from Napa, the place where you can get some of the world's finest wines in Napa Valley. And if you're looking for a spa day, they have Calistoga, where they have hot springs and minerals, and you can get that world famous mud bath. Some of the culinary schools are nestled in Napa Valley. You can just eat your heart away. So we got through it. Those are my 5 favorite places to visit in the world. I do have a couple of honorable mentions. Some of those that can easily be in my top 5, but I just couldn't choose. So here are my honorable mentions. Cape Town, South Africa. Wow. That was the first time I was on the African continent. I did a safari there, which I still think I was in a zoo because it was just animals everywhere, and it was just, you know, how can animals just be roaming around? And most people think that South Africa, the whole city, is a jungle, that is just like Tarzan and animals and bushes everywhere. No, it's not like that. It's a metropolitan city. We all know the history about Nelson Mandela and apartheid, all the history, but they've come a long way since then. Also, Thailand. I know that's a country as well, but there's so many cities in Thailand that I visited, from Phuket to Koh Samui, to Chiang Mai. We even had our honeymoon in Phuket. That's how much we love Thailand. The food, the culture, the people is one of the most inexpensive places to visit and still live like a king. And for a quick getaway, one of our favorite places to visit is Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It's only a 2-hour flight from San Francisco. It's one of those places that's kind of like Rio, where you can lay on the beach all day and the Cabana Boys brings you drinks, get the theme, and food all day. And when we go there, we get a nice, great Airbnb, and we don't even leave the beach for the whole entire day. And we've been going there for about 15 years, every single year. Probably one of the places we might retire, who knows. Another quick getaway for us, about a 5-hour flight away, is also Waikiki, Hawaii. All of Hawaii, but especially Waikiki, because you still get part of the nightlife in Waikiki. It's one of those places where it's quick to get to, has a great beach, but can be on the pricey side. But it's a beautiful place to get your tan and just people gaze and see some of the waterfalls and some of the most beautiful people you've ever seen. What I like about Hawaii people is they're a mixture of all kinds of cultures. You have Asians mixing with Hawaiians, you have Japanese mixing with Chinese, and just get some of the most beautiful people in the world. I mean, I can go on and on and on. There's Tahiti, Hong Kong, oh my God, Greece, there's Budapest, Amsterdam, New Orleans. It goes on and on. So you can see that it's very hard for me to choose my favorite city to visit. I hope you guys enjoyed this around the world trip for me. Speaking of all this wine during this segment, I'm gonna go have me a glass of wine. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye girl, bye.